Well, let's talk about the world and everything in it with our next guest, Alex Wilkes. She's Senior Vice President over at America Rising. Alex, good morning. Welcome to the Marc
Good
Cox
morning,
Show.
Speaker. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. How you been?
I have been great, thank you.
I bet you've been busy, along with the rest of us, with everything going on.
Absolutely. Well, there are so many Democrats. We're just working to catch up with all of them.
Yeah, Alex. So we're going to feel the burn apparently again. Bernie Sanders back again, but with this kind of the same old tired message as in 2016, right?
Well, and this is really interesting because after the 2016 elections, a lot of these candidates for president, prospective candidates at the time, like Elizabeth Warren and Kirsten Gillibrand, they started moving all the way to the left, even just in 2017, on positions like Medicare for All and free college tuition for everyone, because they were trying, I think, to be the Bernie Sanders, this upcoming cycle. And importantly, they also didn't want to face the problem that Hillary Clinton faced, which was a challenge to her left from Bernie Sanders, and one that I think ultimately hurt her in the general election. And so now that Bernie is back in the fold, it'll be really interesting to see, how he interacts with this new generation of leftists that he sort of spawned.
And Alex, it's like they're giving themselves and I think the rest of America whiplash, because you're right. There was this immediate rush with Elizabeth Warren and Gillibrand and the rest of them to go as far left as possible, and then all of a sudden this week, I'm hearing Kamala Harris and Amy Klobuchar say, "Oh, whoa, we're not socialists. We just believe in helping out more people, expanding the social safety net, more free stuff, but we're not socialists." So it seems like they're starting to realize that the S word is not resonating with Americans, especially after that great freedom and liberty speech that Donald Trump gave in Miami this week.
Sure, and I think that someone like Kamala Harris really ran into this trap during the CNN town hall with Jake Tapper, where, she revealed the truth behind Medicare for All, because, people who point out that Medicare for All polls, well, they often forget that with the asterisk that it polls well when people don't know that means eliminating private insurance. And so when Kamala Harris was pressed on that by Jake Tapper and said, and he said, "So you're for eliminating private insurance?" And she said, "Yeah, let's get rid of all of that." I think that it was sort of shocking to people, and I think that it was said with such flippancy that it even gave some Democrats pause. So, I do agree that I think that there was just this immediate rush to run to the left on a lot of positions, but now that they're having to actually go talk to people in Iowa and New Hampshire, it's starting to, backtrack a little bit.
Yeah, they seem to be having a real identity crisis, and they also seem to be not able to avoid the pitfalls of identity politics that they keep laying for themselves. You asked a very good question on your Twitter feed a couple days ago that many of us are asking, and that's, where are all these 2020 Dems on condemning the hate speech, a term that the left loves to use, the anti-Semitism of this new Congresswoman, Omar?
Yeah, I think that this is a real problem for Democrats coming up, because, these are new freshman Democrats who don't adhere to the old Democratic way of doing things. And previously, Democrats have been supportive of Israel, at least by their words, probably not by their actions. But they, as recently as 2012, they ran into problems, if you'll remember, when Israel was brought up at the convention in North Carolina, and it was booed, and President Obama had to sort of hastily work to smooth that all over. This has become a growing problem for them. Fast forward now to 2018, 2019, where you have this new freshman class elected of Democrats, and these are Democrats that are just totally, they just have no qualms with going out there and sort of revealing who they are on this issue. And so, for the 2020 candidates, I think that it's an important question for them to be engaged on by the media, by others, because, these are people who, have to contend with this new force that's coming up in the party.
Talking to Alex Wilkes, Senior Vice President at America Rising. Alex, let's finish on a positive note. Meanwhile, despite their best efforts of 90% plus negative coverage, I've noticed the president's approval rating is ticking up. And the reason the media is not talking about the president's approval rating, I think, is because it's ticking up. You've got, Gallup in the high 40s. You've got Rasmussen over 50%. And I think it's because, Alex, I think the American people are seeing we finally have a president who's not a politician. He is trying his best, despite everybody, including some tension in his own party, to get the things done that he promised he would in the campaign cycle. Doesn't this bode well for him moving into 2020?
Sure. I mean, I think that the State of the Union speech really helped with that, because there was something for everyone in that speech. I think that was a speech that could really resonate with a lot of where the country is, and he got high marks from that. So I'm not surprised that his approval ratings went up following that speech. And, I think going into 2020, so long as the economy remains sound and those approval ratings continue to stay steady and high, the president should be in pretty good shape. The Democrats have really not presented anyone so far who has, looked like a serious challenger to this president. I mean, they're all wrapped up talking about the Green New Deal and eliminating private health insurance.
And airplanes and cows, right?
Airplanes and cows. And, I just don't think that that's where the middle of the country is going to be come Election Day in 2020.
Alex, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's going to be a very busy 18 months here. We'll have you definitely back on as much as possible to kind of help us through and navigate all the elections from national on down. So, Alex, thanks for joining us again on the Marc Cox Morning Show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. That was Alex Wilkes. She's at Alexandra C. Smith on her Twitter feed.